Just in time. Thank you. So Talisman Energy is an international oil and gas company. It was established in 1992. We have headquarters in Calgary, Canada. We are listed on the Dow Jones Sustainability Index. We have operations in more than 16 countries, including North America and Canada. And we're a leading North American natural gas producer, including being a major Marcellus producer. We have 260 horizontal wells right now in the Marcellus Shale, and our average daily production for 2011, our forecast is to produce between 350 and 400 million cubic feet per day. We also have a growing operation in the Eagle Ford Shale, which is located in Texas. And we do have a history here in what we call the Appalachian Basin. We started in the Marcellus in 2008, but we really came into this area for the first time back in 2002, and that was to work in the Trenton Black River. So this is a look at our headquarters, which is now established in, it's really north of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We have almost 200 people there. We'll have probably 200 people there by the end of the year. And our field office in Horseheads, New York, which is where I work out of and where Scott Tompkins, who's here tonight, also work out of. We have about 80 people working out of our Horseheads office. And again, when we first came to this area, it was to develop the Trenton Black River Formation, and that was primarily in New York. The Marcellus was a known formation at that time, but we did not start in this part of the country to develop it. It was a whole different formation that brought us here. Now, I want to focus on community programs and some of the ways that we work with the community to make sure that our being here is beneficial to the community, people who are working and living in the community. And what we have up here is a quote from our corporate president, John Manzoni. And you'll see here the parts that are highlighted in blue are really critical to the programs that we've put in place to develop community relations. John Manzoni says, while our company's primary objective is to maximize shareholder value through the conduct of profitable operations, our license to operate is ultimately derived from the acceptance and goodwill of our stakeholders. And that includes employees, governments, and communities. So these words are true, and they're really one of the basis of some of our community programs that we've put in place here in Pennsylvania to help benefit the community in which we're working. Our programs are defined and they're guided by what we call our global community relations policy, as well as our policy on business ethics as well. Our global community relations policy does relate to our operations here in Pennsylvania, including Tioga County, but it also relates to operations all over the world. We have a series of concepts that we promote through this policy and commitments that we make through this policy, including, as you'll see they're highlighted in blue, the development of communities through shared benefits and striving to contribute towards sustainable mutual benefits. So we believe very strongly that being in a community means sharing benefits with that community. We believe that that's one of the ways that the community will then allow us to operate. So one of the ways that we start looking at this is through proactive stakeholder relations. Stakeholders, we consider stakeholders to be anybody who really has a stake in what our operations are. So whether you're a landowner who might get a well pad, or you're a landowner who's being affected by our operations, or maybe you're an elected official who's answering to a lot of people who've put you in office and have bigger picture concerns about what's going on in the township or in the county. These are all people who are stakeholders. Schools, school superintendents, parents, children. These are some of the stakeholders that we feel accountable to in the community. So when we go into an area to develop that area, we work with our development teams, so we're working with the engineers, the geologists, the land people as we go in stakeholder relations to help identify what are the concerns in this community. In what way will our operations impact that community? We meet with community leaders, we learn about the area, we learn about some of what's really important in the area and what makes the area that we're working in unique. We also hold open houses so the people that will be affected by our operations can come and ask questions. And at these open houses, we have all of our content experts, all of our technical experts. We have landmen, we have our geologists, we have stakeholder relations, And we're there just to answer questions and talk back and forth with people who are curious about what we're doing and who are going to be impacted by what we're doing. We also hold small landowner meetings. So if we're going into an area, going to be doing a lot of site development in a certain area, we'll meet in a smaller venue with landowners there to let them know very, very clearly how our operations are going to impact them while we're there. And we have a Good Neighbor hotline. This is a phone number that people can call if they have any questions at all of any variety about what we're doing. And although there are only a couple of people who really man that phone line, they tap in through a computer software system to all of the expertise within our company to make sure that the people who are calling in get the answers that they're looking for in a very timely manner. So truly, we consider ourselves to be part of the community. We recognize that the community needs to let us work, and to do that, we want to be part of what's important to them. So moving into the programs, some of the programs that we've implemented to make sure that we are a beneficial part of the community. The first one I'll talk about is the Good Neighbor program. And while the phrase Good Neighbor is used quite a bit, with our Good Neighbor program, we put in very specific commitments, things that we've committed to when we go into a community that we are going to live by. And these commitments include topics such as roads and traffic, noise, well pad maintenance, dust, and environment. So under each of those categories, we have very specific language that says how we're going to treat that category. How are we going to operate on roads? It says in here that we're going to maintain roads. We're going to leave them better than they were, at least as good as, or better than they were when we came in. In many cases for us, that includes going into an area before we even start operating there or start developing there and improving the roads before our trucks come in. In many cases, that means that people in the community are using better roads before our trucks even start coming in. Now, that's not possible in all cases. Thanks to the weather around here, it can be a little bit persnickety when it comes to making road improvements. But in that case, when the weather interferes with our being able to improve roads in advance, then we'll make sure that we're fixing roads as we go. And when we leave the area and take our trucks out of the area, those roads will be in as good condition as they were when we came in. So that's an example of one of our commitments that relates to roads. We also have commitments about traffic and speed and our contract and expectations on our contractors when it comes to driving on the roads. Noise reduction, we look at going above and beyond, for example, when it comes to our compressor stations. Our compressor stations emit much lower sound than is even regulated. We go beyond the regulations in that. Well pad maintenance, we want to make sure that if we're going to put a well pad on someone's property, that site's going to be kept very neatly and in good condition. Dust control, that's a really big one right now. The calls that are coming in about dust are numerous, and we make sure that we're answering those concerns by putting water on the roads, or in some cases also putting calcium on the roads to help mitigate dust. And then the environment, it's a huge, huge issue for all of us. We live here too. We want to make sure that the environment's protected. We have specific policies about how we will be protecting the environment and minimizing our impact on the environment. So that's the Good Neighbor program, and those are the commitments that we say we will live by when we come into your community. A second very important program that we put forth to the community is the Local Economic Engagement Strategy. We call it LEAS for short. The Local Economic Engagement Strategy has the objective of making partners of those in the community who want to work with us. So someone who owns trucks, someone who owns construction equipment, someone who owns lumber mills. People who can serve our industry and who are local are the people that we want to have working here. So we have that as an objective to make them our business partners. And there are several components to the LEAS strategy, including capacity building, making sure that our large contractors are also looking to hire local people wherever they can. It includes measuring and reporting. How well are we actually doing when it comes to bringing local people into our industry, not necessarily as employees, but as contractors to our industry? And how do we sustain those relationships going forward as we work in an area? So to look a little bit more closely at the local economic engagement strategy, the philosophy with this strategy is that local people should have